Let's understand diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic condition where your blood glucose or your blood sugar becomes very high. And to understand diabetes, there are just two things you need to really understand. One, what happens in your body when you eat and the food is converted to glucose in your bloodstream. And secondly, you need to understand the functioning of a hormone called insulin, which is the hormone responsible for bringing down your high blood glucose levels back to normal. That said, there are two main types of diabetes. There is type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease, meaning that there are no external factors related to it. People with type 1 diabetes are born with it. They are born with the inability to produce insulin. So they don't have insulin, their bodies are not capable of producing insulin. This is relatively rare in Africa. But in Africa, what is common is type 2 diabetes, which is caused by what we call insulin resistance. That is, your cells no longer respond to the function of insulin, or you're producing very little insulin. And we'll see why that happens as the video unfolds. Now, why should your blood glucose remain low or at controllable levels? When blood glucose is too high for long periods of time, that is what we call diabetes. So when you're diabetic, it can damage many parts of your body. It can damage your heart, it can damage your blood vessels, exposing you to strokes and heart attacks. Long-term uncontrolled diabetes can also damage your kidneys. That's what we medically call diabetic nephropathy. Diabetes can also cause damage to your eyes, can cause cataracts and even sometimes blindness. This is what we call diabetic retinopathy. Diabetes can also damage your nerve endings, making you less sensitive in your hands and on your feet. That's what we call diabetic neuropathy. And this in the long run, if you are no longer very sensitive to your feet, meaning that if you develop a wound on your leg or on your feet, you might probably not even realize it until it gets worse. This is what we call diabetic foot, where we have chronic ulcers that are taking forever to heal or are not healing at all on the foot of people with diabetes. Now, why is this conversation urgent for us in Cameroon and across Africa? Because diabetes is growing very fast. In 2022, WHO estimated that 54 million adults in Africa were affected with diabetes, and more than half of these people are not even aware that they have diabetes, so they are undiagnosed. While in Cameroon, 6.9% of adults are diabetic. This may sound small, but that is roughly 774,000 people walking around with diabetes, and more than 73% of them are undiagnosed, so they are not even aware that they have diabetes. These are people roaming the streets with blurred vision, chronic fatigue, slow healing wounds, hot bellies, and difficulties concentrating. And to them, they don't understand that these are symptoms of a disease. Now to our question, does sugar cause diabetes? If it's a yes or no question, then the answer is no, because sugar doesn't instantly give you diabetes. But it's not a yes or no question. Does sugar cause diabetes? Sugar can increase your risk of having diabetes in the long run. There are many things that are taken into consideration. How often you consume sugar, especially added or refined sugars, as well as the duration of time. So cumulative intake of sugar in large quantities increases your risk of developing diabetes, and we're going to see how that happens as the video unfolds. But it is evident through research that sodas, sugary drinks, energy drinks, and sweets have a strong correlation with diabetes. So these are all things that expose you or increase your risk of developing diabetes. So it's important we understand what we mean when we say sugar, because when we say sugar, in the minds of some people, they are thinking only of the small cubes of sugar you put in your tea or in your coffee in the morning. But no, anything that is absorbed in the form of glucose into your bloodstream is what we are calling sugar here. This means that all meals that are not protein, are not lipids or fats, or are not vitamins, is most likely sugar. Africa, but I'll focus on Cameroon. We're talking about meals like fufu corn, that is corn flour. We're talking about cassava and all its products. hence gari, bobolo, miondo, all that. We are talking about potatoes and sweet potatoes. We are talking about rice, all forms of white rice. We're talking about bread and all forms of flour products. Anything made of flour, it's carbohydrate dense, and its end product in your body is glucose. So that's what we're talking when we talk of sugar. These are the things we're talking about. And of course, I don't need to overemphasize on all the soft drinks that we have, the fruit juices that we take, the sodas, the Coca-Colas and the Fantas and all that. That is all sugar. Even some yogurts that we take that have natural sweeteners, these are all different forms, different presentations of sugar. So when we are talking of sugar, it's important you bear in mind the globality of it. Now let's talk biology. All right, take a typical breakfast probably for an average Cameroonian. You take your spaghetti and your bread, and then you top it up with maybe a bottle of Coca-Cola or Fanta, and maybe you take maybe a little cake by the side. So that's a carbohydrate dense meal. It contains lots and lots of carbohydrates which are broken down as from your mouth down, finally absorbed in your bloodstream as sugar. There is a glucose spike in your blood. So glucose increases in your blood. These very high levels of glucose, which we have already described as dangerous, is sensed by the body, and the body now produces insulin from the pancreas. The pancreas is a small organ beside your liver that is responsible for producing insulin. Insulin's job is to bring down that blood glucose before it starts causing trouble. Now when insulin brings down the blood glucose, it's absorbed into cells, and two things can happen. It's either stored as fat, all right, excess of that glucose that is absorbed that is sent by insulin into the cells is stored as fat, because most of this energy we don't even use it, so it is stored as fat. And this explains why when you eat too much carbohydrate rich meals, or you drink too much beer, which by the way contains so much sugar as well, you slowly gain weight or develop a pot belly, and these are already signs that your diet is unhealthy and can lead in the long run to diabetes and other chronic diseases. And how does this happen? When the blood sugar is too high, it causes chronic inflammation. Even when this excess sugar is stored as fat, this fat, especially visceral fat, the one stored around your liver, the one stored around your intestines, keeps producing harmful hormones and inflammatory cells that cause inflammation, chronic inflammation, that eventually lead to insulin resistance, which now put you in a pre-diabetic state. When you continue feeding poorly like that, all the time your blood glucose is high, you eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, carbohydrate dense meals, at some point your cells become insensitive to insulin.